Hi there, I'm Reini Schrama. I'm an assistant professor at the Department of Public Administration at the Radboud University in Nijmegen. In this video, I will introduce my study on expert interaction in the European Medicines Agency, just published in Regulation and Governance. You can find the link to the paper at the bottom of this slide. In this study, I intervene in the debate on the structure of decision-making in networked regulatory agencies in the EU. I do this by focusing on the experts that serve in these European administrative networks and the factors driving their interaction. Why is this interesting? The need for supranational regulatory capacity and the drive for governmental control are often presented as two colliding forces in international governance. However, we know little about how experts navigate these forces. To what extent can members act as professional experts in service of the supranational administration, and to what extent do national features significantly shape their interaction? The European Medicines Agency operates as such a hybrid governance structure. It contains supranational forces as the member states recognize the need for more harmonized regulation. It also contains intergovernmental forces as member states refuse to fully delegate authority power to the European agency. The compromise is a European medicines regulatory network in which national agencies pool resources under the coordination of the EMA. Specifically, the assessment of risks associated with medicinal products on the European market is carried out by the Pharmacovigilance Risk Assessment Committee, PRAC. It is often assumed that civil servants operating in such hybrid governance structures become double-hatted. On the one hand, they may be more inclined to put on their European hat as a result of socialization through long-term deliberative interaction and embeddedness within the EU administration. On the other hand, national regulators remain the central nodes in European administrative networks. They still rely on the resources and regulatory context of their national administrations, so they may not be able to take off their national hat. So to uncover what drives PRAC members in their use of the network for EU pharmaceutical risk assessment, I use social network analysis. The analysis is centered on unique survey data, on the bilateral exchange of information, best practices, and advice among PRAC members. I asked each PRAC member about these different types of interactions. I fitted an exponential random graph model to estimate the effects of individual level attributes, national administrative characteristics, and general network tendencies on the strength of expert collaboration in the PRAC. This allows me to see whether members interact because of experience sitting in the PRAC, professional expertise as a regulator, background in pharmaceutical industry, or as a doctor of medicine, embeddedness into the EMA and its various bodies, supranational ties to the EMA Secretariat or the Commission, or rather because of a regulatory capacity of their national administration or the domestic pharmaceutical industry they represent, or because of a similarity in institutional form of market regulation. And I do this while taking into account general network tendencies. So what do I find? First, the results do not show that professional expertise affects interaction. This goes against the assumption that this kind of individual expertise would carry more weight in the deliberative practices of a supranational governance style. Still, the results do lend support for the effect of other elements of supranational forces. First, individuals who served on the PRAC longer and are subjected to this process of socialization more, participate significantly more in the network. In addition, participation in other EMA bodies increases the depth of interaction significantly, and particularly ties to the EMA Secretariat help solidify PRAC members' embeddedness in the EU administration. However, the results demonstrate that PRAC interactions are still very much structured by intergovernmental forces. First, national administrations with higher regulatory capacity are more dominant in the exchange of resources. Second, national representatives from countries with a larger industry size are significantly more involved in the network. And finally, national representatives exchange resources more extensively when their country has similar institutional arrangements between state and industry. So overall, interactions among PRAC members is affected by both supranational and intergovernmental forces in the EMA. There is evidence that members act to some extent according to a professional, scientific, technical rationale. So socialization through long-term interaction within the PRAC and integration within the EU intensifies involvement in the PRAC and deepens their supranational allegiance. However, opportunities for PRAC interactions are still structured by intergovernmental forces. Regulatory capacity, as well as the pressure coming from domestic markets, are distributed unequally across the national agencies in the network, which considerably affects their use of the network. This implies that the supposed technocratic nature of supranational agencies does not result in deliberative interactions regardless of national characteristics. The implication is that as long as the EU agency relies heavily on the resources and expertise built up within national agencies to expand its regulatory capacity, intergovernmental boundaries will be reproduced in its day-to-day activities and may risk implementation uniformity across member states. Now, this was my presentation, and I hope you will enjoy the paper. Thank you.